Welcome back. It's Game Programming with Unity. Here we are in the segment talking about mecanim, right? So we've got a character, we've got him in the game, we've got an animation controller on him, and he's got a bunch of animation clips. What do we do now, right? What's next? How do we get all these animations into our animation controller and then start doing stuff to create transitions between them and make sure that they work, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to learn how to drop a clip in here and make it the default clip and adjust some of the properties of that. All right, and this is actually a little bit tricky because it takes a little bit of wrestling with the interface to figure out how do I get my clip into my animator. So let's just kind of rewind a little bit here. I've got my character in the scene. All right, let's select my eye guy. He's got an animator, which is a mecanim animation component, right? And now we've created that controller, eye guy controller, and when I open up my mecanim interface, which I'm bringing up here, I could bring it up anywhere if I wanted to, honestly. I can put it on down here. And sometimes this might be a little bit better of an option. It just depends if you have a laptop or not, which one is going to be the best option for you. One thing I will say is I don't really like to zoom in and out with the regular zoom key, so it's kind of annoying. Let's just move this over here. Okay, so what are we seeing? Any state, entry, and exit. And what these really are doing here are just showing you the basic parameters. This any state, it's in all of your animation states. And this is what we call this thing here. It's an animation state. It's a layer inside of a state. And we can actually call up other states. We can zoom into other controllers. So if I have a whole nother animation state, I can kind of like enter and exit that state, and we can create this entry and exit so that if we do enter or exit the state, we can have transitions happening based on that. And these are fairly new parameters, so they're not really so important right now in terms of being able to manage them. It will happen automatically. They'll give you an automatic entry. And I'm going to show you how that works in a second. Now, the reason I have it up here is because you must drag these clips in from the character. So I've got to drag it in from my projects directory. It's kind of hard to drag it in from here into a tab that's down at the bottom. That's why I like to leave it up here where my scene is, just docked up here. All right, so now what I've done is I've selected my eye guy rig, right? And here's all these clips I've created. And remember, those clips get dropped underneath the eye guy asset. So right here it says, hey, there's a float clip, right? This is what I'm going to use as my idle. Now, generally speaking, we can change the idle at any point, the default state, but the first clip you drop in here, boom, that's going to become the default state. How do I know? Because it's orange, right? And it says here, defaults. So in my entry now, it says, hey, this is called a transition here, right? And the entry says, when I enter the state machine, it's going to transition to this animation, which also means this is my default. And being the default, it means it's going to play automatically. So let's click on play here. Now when the game starts, there it is. There's my float. Now it seems to me it's happening a little bit fast, right? Doesn't it look like it's kind of bouncing up and down a little bit too fast? I wanted him to kind of float like a Pac-Man ghost. All right, so how do I change that? Well, by grabbing this, and you can notice here, because I have this as a loopable clip, remember I set this to loop earlier, that means it's going to keep playing and playing and playing, because it's the default, right? It's going to constantly loop. So whatever is happening in the scene, this is going to continue to play. And even if I move my character, right, that clip is going to continue to play, and it's going to be offset from whatever the values in the animation are. Okay, so I've got this clip selected, and here it's going to ask me what clip this is. So this clip here, it's actually a state. If that makes any sense, it's a state now, and that state references an animation, which is my float animation. All right, so here's my speed. I have a global speed for my animation. So let's slow this down a little bit. There we go. Now it kind of looks like he's bobbing up and down, kind of like a sine wave. That may be a little... let's say, split the difference, 275. Alright, so now he's kind of floating up and down, kind of bobbing. And we could change the animation a little bit if we wanted to make it a little bit more, a little smoother or a little bit more sophisticated. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I've created a clip. I've assigned it as a default right? And now it's going to play automatically, and it's going to continuously play. And you can see that because it's the default, it's just going to keep playing until I tell it not to play. And that's when I want to transition to another animation. So let's just turn that off. Now, one thing while you're playing the game, this speed parameter, unlike some other parameters in the editor, will actually maintain its value that you change. Right, now that's just the simple, easy to follow way to get an animation clip into your controller, right? And once you've got it in your controller, now we can create all kinds of transitions from that default state. So once again, these are kind of automatic. This entry and exit, these happen automatically. And this any state is always going to be in every animation controller. What's really important is the fact that we dragged in a clip and we changed its timing right here in our preferences and our parameters for that mecanim clip. And now we've got a default animation that's always going to play. Right, and when we come back, we'll start learning how to create transitions between those clips and base them off of parameters.